Hello and welcome. I'm Mathieu Chollet, and on behalf of all my co-authors, I'm presenting our paper, Beyond Mute and Block, Adoption and Effectiveness of Safety Tools in Social Virtual Reality from Ubiquitous Harassment to Social Sculpting. As a content warning, this talk will contain allusions to harassment, including hate speech, violence, and sexual assault. By mimicking genuine social interactions, social virtual reality has many applications in education, healthcare, entertainment, business, and many others. It is an increasingly popular use case of virtual reality, and many platforms now compete to attract the most users. SVR applications are characterized by how users are embodied into virtual avatars, typically but not exclusively humanoid, which enable them to leverage some aspects of genuine social communication, including verbal and nonverbal cues such as gestures, postures, and so on. Unfortunately, SVR applications come with specific risks, and in particular, many reports of abuse and harassment in SVR have now been reported in the media and in academia. This is particularly concerning given the embodied nature of SVR, which can make harassment feel as if it were real. This is of course a major issue, and emerging evidence from academic literature has indeed confirmed the scale of the problem, and an important topic now is how to make SVR safer. Already existing safety tools include classic techniques such as muting and blocking or reporting other users, as well as VR-specific tools such as safety gestures or personal boundaries. Our goals in this paper was to confirm the spread of harassment in SVR, as well as assessing the usage and efficacy of safety tools of SVR, and propose guidelines and future directions for safe SVR design. Our methodology consisted in designing a study in which we identified a representative set of SVR platforms to assess, and we looked at their safety tools implementations. We identified unsafe SVR situations to include, and reviewed this using the existing literature. We then designed a survey and deployed it, and analyzed our results using mixed methods containing qualitative and quantitative analyses. We examined 12 SVR platforms and looked at their implementations of safety features. While they all implemented mute, block, and report, we see a very varied picture of the types of safety features that are implemented in these platforms. From a literature review, we identified unsafe SVR situations and categorized them according to whether they are verbal, visual, or physical uncomfortable situations. Using this knowledge, we designed a survey with major sections, such as on SVR usage, experiences of harassment and abuse in SVR, or the use of safety features. We recruited SVR users by posting ads on online VR discussion boards and recruited an international sample of 100 participants. Our survey used a mix of rating scales, as well as open-ended text box, and follow-up questions when participants reported having experienced a particular type of abuse situation in SVR. Similarly, participants were asked about their use of safety tools in SVR, and were asked follow-up questions if they reported having used them in the past. Moving to the results, we now discuss first the evidence we gathered on the harassment situation in SVR. Unfortunately, our results do confirm the prevalence of harassment in social VR, with 95% of our respondents responding having witnessed or experienced as victim harassment in some form, with the most in verbal form, visual form, and then physical form. In their open-ended answers, participants confirmed that the prevalence of harassment felt familiar to have experienced it in online social spaces or game lobbies. However, it was still shocking to some, for whom it was their first exposure to this social paradigm. Social VR thus appears to be inheriting some social standards from existing online spaces, rather than normal in-person socialization. We also had follow-up questions to participants on their experiences of SVR harassment. First, whether they felt those experiences felt real and consistent with real experiences. And indeed, this was the case most of the time, with hate speech and sexual assault rated as the most consistent with real experiences. We also asked them about their emotional responses to those unpleasant situations, and indeed they were deemed as being unpleasant by the majority of respondents. Although some categories of harassment were deemed less intense or impactful, such as pranks, such as virtual scaring. A particular topic of our study was to compare victim versus bystander experiences. We did not find any significant differences between victim and bystander ratings, whether this was for the realism of the experience, its pleasantness, intensity, the felt control of the situation, or the consistency with offline experiences across all harassment types. We did see, all that being said, a number of very specific experiences, ranging from sympathy to the victim or enjoyment of the situation, and reactions such as trying to support victims or alerting the platform. Asking about participants' feelings of control, 41% felt in control across harassment types, citing ability to use tools like mute and block, and the prevalence of a harassment type did reduce the agency of that situation. Each crashing was the one feeling participants the less in control. There were four main types of harassment responses. One was to ignore it due to the low impact or feeling a need to adapt to that situation due to its prevalence. The other one was to respond socially, maybe diffuse or fight back, even at the cost of future consequences. Another one was to leaving the space, either stop using a server, an application, or even social VR entirely. And finally, the last one was to use standard safety features, and it was the most common response. Check the paper for full details. Moving on now to the analysis of the safety features and how they were used in SVR. First, we looked at the distributions of the usage of SVR safety features, finding overall a very low usage of most safety features, except for classic functions such as voting, kick, mute and block, reporting, and defining social spaces with restricted access. Digging deeper now into how people that responded using those interventions, we look at the detail of how effective they found them. Here, we find that participants find most safety features actually similarly preferable, not expressing a particular preference for one or the other. However, there's a clear variation in how often they access them. For example, despite being very used, reporting of a users is relatively poorly rated. So in this case, suggesting that awareness is more important than the perceived efficacy of a particular safety feature. We also analyze the qualities of desirable features, asking our survey respondents to reflect on their desirable features. The first theme what we identified was transparency. Most features indeed lacked clear feedback about their outcomes, such as reporting on someone but not knowing what was the outcome of that reporting. Features being quick and easy to use was very often mentioned, and a key motivator to use features such as mute and block, which were simple and quick and effective. Features that were not only reactive, so proactive protection was also often mentioned as a desirable feature. So current features are primarily reactive, and users felt that proactive features would be very desirable. Finally, customizable features, the ability to tune safety features based on the context application, was also very desirable. An interesting finding of our study was the use of safety features for social sculpting of one's own experience. We mentioned by this the unintended use of safety features to tailor your experience, for example, to enable friends-only interactions with intimacy proxemics, or content gating, or similar safety features. This was used by many participants to sort of sculpt or customize with proactive protection their own social context, with the potential for abuse and social exclusion, but it was also used in completely mundane contexts to improve technical experiences, for example, by disabling visual clutter. To conclude, we confirm indeed the unfortunate evidence that harassment is an inherent reality of social virtual reality, inheriting some social paradigm from online social spaces. Safety features are reported as being very, very desirable and preferred by many users. However, they are underused, with legacy features, classic features such as kicking and reporting being proportionally more used, even if considered sometimes as ineffective. A key theme here is how inconsistent safety features are between applications, and this is a clear potential future direction. Our findings also find unintended consequences of safety features, with users reporting using them for socially sculpt their experience, and also we find possibilities to leverage communities in social virtual reality, including others and bystanders to help in promote safe social VR. To conclude, we provide some best practices for effective, safe social virtual reality and the design of safety features. First, ensuring the immediate protection of users, providing transparent feedback on the outcomes of the use of a safety feature, considering not just real-time and reactive features, but also proactive features. Standardization of safety features across platform is also a very promising avenue. And finally, encouraging the involvement of the community in promoting a safe experience for everyone. Thank you very much for your attention.